besides the projects that you also do in the slide that you had before here with the also 10,000 projects, you mentioned the youth wants to get involved in farming. Is that accurate? I mean, my thought is that it's, you know, it's not cool to be a farmer, or how do you see that? Is that changing?
Well, I think you're right, because I mean, the general trend is that youth don't want to get involved in farming, and they want to, you know, have a different life and go to the city, especially because all of the things that surround farming are negative. I mean, it's also in the Netherlands actually, it's a very economical, not the best career that you can choose, and especially in these countries. I mean, Africa is not a country but a continent, so it's very. But they're on average the infrastructure and also policy are very not well developed and make it very difficult to make a proper living out of farming. So you're absolutely right. At the same time, we also see a strong evolving network of young people that do want to. I mean, maybe not in the old-fashioned way, like, you know, breaking your back on the fields, but do see the value of food and do see the value of their food culture. And they do want to be involved in some kind of agricultural projects, especially also because, I mean, the little bit more developed crowd there also sees the negative benefits of kind of the fast food world that is now rapidly increasing in Asia and African countries as well. And there's also this counter movement. I mean, not saying it's a, you know, it's a large scale mainstream movement yet, but there is definitely, and I think also with the ICT revolution and kind of interconnectivity, internet, like there's a lot of cool projects where they have SMS kind of systems where they communicate and they make sure that they bring their products to the market together. So there's a lot of cool, innovative projects going on, and we try to help, or I mean, not help because it's our network doing there, but kind of to take it out of, to help them developing it.
Do you have any tangible climate change goals that are actually measurable, and if so, how on earth would you measure them?
To measure the climate change goals, well, the short answer is no. I mean, and I don't think that this is something that we as an organization could really do and also take on. I do think that kind of the general idea that we have in food production and the way that food production should be organized, and especially looking at soil, because I don't know how much, but I talked about meat. Production is a very big driver of climate change, but especially the way we treat our soils, the way we don't treat ourselves actually, because the soils should be kind of capturing a lot of the CO2 that we're putting into the air, and if you kind of the basic vision that we have of future agriculture, where you look at soil fertility and maybe less using of pesticides and artificial fertilizers, I think this would definitely be a big change and really big help in fighting climate change. But I mean, measuring it and is a little bit difficult, but I mean, the big paradigm is there.
Two things. I work for a non-development organization that supports innovations and takes startups working towards specifically governance, but also I think this relates to that. And I think the thing that struck me the most was when I was in Soweto, out of Johannesburg. And I'm really used to these farmers markets in Amsterdam being really fashionable, a lot of other people are really interested. But actually in Soweto, there's also a soul food movement, and they're actually becoming a farmer there is being seen to be cooler, whereas usually it's one of the lowest paying jobs. So I think that response to
No, I mean, it's very difficult to kind of speak, over the African continent, because it's not possible. And South Africa is also particular from other countries. But yes, I mean, not everyone, but I do see, and I know them, but I do see a big network of young people that actually, like here, are becoming more interested in food as a whole, what it does to your body, and what it's food production. So I think it's definitely a trend which is not only particular for the Western world, but also goes because it also gives you, and I think that's kind of maybe our generation kind of thinking. It makes it a little bit more concrete than working on services or working in a big city. And so there is, like here, kind of a return to the land in some cases. And I definitely see this not only as a Dutch or a Western trend.
Yeah, regarding what you mentioned in the beginning of the presentation about targeting to the upper levels of society, or also about food festival which you established. I was wondering what is the problem so far? Yeah, people living in big cities like us, not being conscious of what we eat. Why are we not aware, and what is the problem so far? Is it lack of information, lack of interest? What's your outcome so far? What did you find out?
Well, I think the main thing in the Western world is that I tried to explain in the beginning, kind of that we in like 40 or 50 years we completely lost touch with the way we produce and consume our food. I mean, this industrialization had positive effects, but it's really kind of disconnected us. I mean, we're sitting here with our smartphones. No one knows how to produce food or bake a bread, or so this is a very important thing. And to kind of to counterweigh this is also very difficult, because we get really disconnected from it. And I also feel, I very much feel that's needed. I mean, you can do a lot of things on high-level policy making, yada yada, but it's really about consumers making informed choices and voting with their fork, as we like to say. Because the producer power and market power is one of the most important things, or maybe the most important driver. But yeah, in a complex system, there is really a lot of things that have to kind of change at the same time to really make an impact. I think in the end, like on the long term, food education should be one of the most important things. But it's something, and we do this, I mean, through our festivals, through our academy, and also children programs, all kinds of stuff, and we're being, but it's very long-term processes. It's very, it's difficult to have tangible results, and the first results for kind of the new generation, we're actually already lost, but like the children now, it will take us 10 years to see if all these products work. So, but at the same time, I feel like the debate and the talks about food, and I mean, you see that people become more interested. You have this crazy superfoods hypes where everyone, and they don't know if that's exactly the right way, but people are really trying new things and getting informed. And yes, it's a small part of society, but I do really feel that we're, transitioning in this way, and it might take another 10 to 15 years. But that's the boring answer, but it is true. It will take, a multi-stakeholder, combined approach, holistic view to change the future of food. That's also what the boring people in the ICM conferences say. I mean, it's true, but then, if you're only talking, then, but slowly it's coming, but it will take some time.
As a political scientist, do you think the paradigm shift that is necessary to solve things like the climate problem are possible within a capitalist economic system?
That's the best question.
As an expert.
As an expert. No, I mean, I think what the system wants to. I mean, I'm really focused on food production and food, but I mean, also my little scheme here. It's about you can put this on different sectors, and you can put it on society as a whole. And if you look at like the first, status quo, and then the second status quo area, it is completely different. It's not about only or producing food in a different way. It's about it changes your values, it changes the way we organize society, changes your economy. Yes, but yeah, so we don't really know what it looks like, and it's the awesome thing, but it's also the scary thing, and that's why also the system and the people that are now at power are trying to resist it in as many ways as possible. So yes, I don't think it's possible. But I'm also not an economist, and I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I'm also kind of influenced by this guy who I'm reading a book of at this moment. It's called Changing the Food Game by Lucas Simons. You know it. This is really talking about market approach, and it's talking about to change, the coffee sector, for instance. For as Moyi, you're interested in. You're not from Moyi, but are you okay? Saw some hands there. And what you're doing is creating a different, economy, a different way. And I do feel like, changing the market economy at this moment could be a very interesting strategy, because it's all we have, so we have to work with it. But I think in the long term, these kinds of mechanisms we know are not going to do it. yeah. So, but yeah, that's it. I'm happy that I kind of got an answer to this question. In the back.
Is there anything that you can do to help you reach your goal, like a small thing maybe?
Well, definitely. I mean, the first thing you can do is, and it's very, but make informed choices. It's a small thing, but also if you're thinking from the market kind of view, actually companies are already competing on sustainability. So it is going on, and maybe it's a couple of percentage, but you buying organic or you buying certificate, it does give them an extra approach to start changing. And then us particularly, I mean, we have a global network. You can become a member. You can become a very active member. I mean, we have local chapters in Amsterdam, all around the world actually. The old people in slow food sometimes are a little bit boring, so if you don't want to talk to the old people, try to find the young ones. But it's really a global network. And yeah, I think that entrepreneurship and doing things and trying to keep your eye on the grand scheme of things is the most important thing that you can do. And maybe by yourself, sometimes you feel like you cannot change the world, but I try to explain that all the things that we're doing that are kind of in this direction add up and can help in shifting this position. But check our websites and because you become a member.
We'll just go for two last questions.
What's the lady there?
Regarding the sort of young people, I had to explain to my daughter this morning why we don't have blueberries at this time of year.
What are we talking about?
Blueberries.
Yeah.
Why we don't water them? She's like a wand. Do you have any? You mentioned you have sort of education initiatives for children. But can you talk a little bit about? I'm just thinking of 20 years ago, nobody recycled, and then it became sort of at least in the United States, sort of a grassroots. Teach the kids, and then they're going to teach their families, and then that's going to. So now you have people lining up on Saturday to bring
Exactly. I'll try to formulate the question. It's about, do I have examples of kind of good education tools for mainly children, right? Or like younger children. Yeah, I mean, in the Netherlands, to be honest, we don't have like an extensive program running at the moment. But in the US, for instance, Slow Food USA is doing all kinds of high school, but also what's the level below? Elementary school projects, and especially in Italy as well. And there's a lot of online publications and things that we've been doing. But actually, we're in the Netherlands now working towards. We've been approached by all different kinds of schools. At the moment, mainly like the high schools or the universities or hogescholen, to develop educational materials. So I think that definitely one of the things that we're going to do in the future is to develop these things more. But I mean, online there's a lot of kind of material about seasonality and why do we eat why do we need to eat strawberries at this time of the year? Because but I also think like the parents. I'm becoming a parent in 4 weeks, so I have very big ambitions in that area as well. I think the parents should be the main drivers of trying to explain to them. But again, it's very difficult to try to explain something when all the environment is telling you the opposite. So. But also in this area, I see a lot of things moving in the coming 5 to 10 years. That like, everyone's kind of, we need to change this, but it's now being opposed by the industry still. But also, I can give you some context and some website links that you could look into.
Last burning question. Okay.
You mentioned the question before this. You said make informed choices, but that slightly shows that all the labels. I know that sort of a portion of those are just marketing things.
Yeah.
So sort of, if you can't trust this, then what do you inform your choices on? Apart from like hours of research online.
Yeah.
This has to be made as easy as possible, I guess. And then if you know that half is either just made up by owl.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, how can you make informed choices when most of these labels are marketing tools? I mean, I agree. On the easy answer is I think that. I mean, doing the right thing, like doing 100% the right thing is very difficult, and it changes. You need to be informed all the time, but it's not as difficult as you think. I mean, kind of think at your grandmother's knowledge. It's, I mean, you know, what is good for you is kind of, you know, eat vegetables, eat fruit, try to eat not too much, and try to kind of have a very basic and simple diet. And I mean, don't, you know, you can eat bread, but not to be. Try. I mean, there's a lot of information available, and it's not that difficult. I mean, if you want to eat fish, what kind of fish? I mean, these are the things that are really difficult, and also, you know, what does organic mean? What kind of organic do I have? But also, I mean, if you make a little bit more effort, and I think that the online market revolution, which is very much going on right now, will make a very big difference in the short term. At the moment, you have already this wide array of initiatives of kind of taking food directly from, you know, farmers, which you can buy, but they're not, you know, not as easy as going to the supermarket yet. But it's really, I mean, supermarkets are feeling very, very threatened right now. So I think in 5 years, this will become easier. So this is the one thing. And the other thing is, yeah, I do believe, but maybe, you know, Moyi will kind of, you know, disagree with me. I do believe that if you have to buy, you know, for instance, you'd certified, I don't know how it's pronounced in English, that you will help these big companies to, you know, to feel that sustainability is important. I particularly don't believe that these labels are going to, you know, solve the issues. It's just, I mean, it's still very tiny amounts of the, you know, total market share. But I mean, if more people are buying it, then they have more reason to start to keep on developing. And there's kind of this, you know, NGOs have to play their part, consumers have to play their part, and policymakers. So, you know, try to go for, you know, I would say try to go for the alternative food system. If you can, go to farmer market, go to, you know, online buying, and if you cannot, do buy labeled things, because you are making a small difference.